Hi guys, this is really special. We are in a new place today. We are in our new home in Wurtsboro, New York. We are going to be closing on this property in about a week, and we'll show you guys all about how we're going to move and set up the shop and how we're going to build a custom shop just for filming YouTube videos and for building drones and for operating our business. It's going to be really exciting, but in the meantime, we're going to talk about cold weather operations. Some of you may know that I've recently returned from an Arctic expedition where I used an Inspire 2 up above the Arctic Circle for an expedition called Where the Road Ends, and you can find them online. They're doing amazing stuff. They drove all the way from the tip of North America all the way down to the tip of South America, and they're still on that trip right now. So I had the opportunity to take our gear to the Arctic Circle and operate up there, and I learned some things, so I want to pass those on to you. The basic rule is that the drone will not give up before the pilot does. You need to be very careful about exposure. In other words, protect your meat. I used these gloves when I was in Alaska because I was able to wrap my fingers and thumbs, hold the transmitter in such a way where I could still steer and operate buttons and knobs. However, I needed a finger free. I needed to be able to use this finger to touch the screen. And that's where the flaw came in my plan. So I would have this, and then I would pull one finger out, and I was able to touch the screen. But when you grab the transmitter and you hold it for 5 minutes in the cold, this thing will damn near break off. It's the worst solution in the world. It's too cold to use once you need to use it, and it hurts so much that I had to land after about 5 minutes after some of my flights. What I will use now from this point forward is something I want to suggest to you. It is this. Hold, please. Slippery. I'm back. Ignore the continuity error. I had to remove these. That's a hard thing to say, continuity error. Okay, so what I found to fix the frozen finger stick, which still tingles when it gets really cold because it got so badly frost nipped, is a set of thin gloves. Now, you put these on underneath the fingerless gloves, and then you have this. Now, fellow internet smartasses, you're saying, but this won't work on a touchscreen. These are touch gloves. So, smartass comment number 2, why don't you just use thick gloves so you don't have to use 2 gloves? Well, wise ass, it's because, well, let's ask Sam how all that works. He was flying in Utah with these thick gloves and had no tactile feel and was too busy trying to get his fingers to work right that he wasn't paying attention to his orientation and flew into a freaking mountain. Just jumped out and bit him. I have absolutely no idea how that happened. Anyway, so what I prefer to do is I use thin gloves covered with an outer layer. Layering is really important when you're in the cold, okay? So now you can touch a screen and you don't lose your finger to frostbite. It helps, it slows it down. This won't help forever. However, it is going to slow down enough that you're going to be able to fly for 10-15 minutes and do what you need to do. Now, critically important that you don't just take a warm pair of work gloves and just snip off the finger, because you're still going to have a, protect your meat. Remember? Protect your meat. Okay, so hand protection is the #1 thing you need to worry about. 2, you need to take care of your batteries. There are some things in the DJI ecosystem that will take care of themselves, like the Inspire 2, Matrice 200, Ronin 2, those big batteries here have onboard heaters. They are the only batteries in the DJI ecosystem that does that. But I have okay news for you. If you take a battery that's room temp, warm enough to the touch, like right now this is cold, it's been sitting in my car, I could conceivably start this drone and fly and it would work. However, a cold battery is not going to provide nearly as much power, and it may not register or measure properly. It may sink much quicker than the drone is prepared for, where at one moment you have 40%, the next you have 10, and you're too far away to come back. So, as a good rule, have room temperature or warm to the touch batteries, especially if it's outside and it's warm to the touch. I put them on the dashboard of the car. I stick them in my inside pockets. What a lot of people do is they put them in thermos coolers like this. And I use hot water bottles, Coca-Cola bottles, I fill with water, I nuke them for 4 minutes, I get them very piping hot, I throw them in here, I seal them up, and then when I get up to my job site, I pull out a warm battery and I'm good to go. The same trick is good for the summer, so you don't cook your batteries, because a hot battery will damage it. So we use cool packs in the summer just to keep the battery at, you know, roughly room temperature. So a warm battery will last longer. It'll also be healthier. It will be able to be used, but you're going to have a lot less time. I would, as a good rule, half your expected flight time, just as a safety margin, okay? A battery that is warm while it's discharging will create enough heat to keep it warm. You'll pull a battery out and it'll be, ooh, this is warm to the touch. Don't assume that if you put a cold battery in and go flying off, it'll warm up to the point where it'll work well. If you start with a cold battery, you're going to end up with a lukewarm battery that still doesn't have enough juice in it. A good rule of thumb is the smaller the battery, the more you want to assume that the cold is going to kill it. So if you have a big honking, you know, 2 of these, you're going to have a little bit more temperature reserve, especially in a battery that heats itself. One of the things about the Phantom 4 and drones that have enclosed batteries is as this thing heats, that there ends up being an airspace in here, a little bit of an insulation area. So a battery that is relatively warm, you stick it in a really cold environment, this thing will pretty much insulate itself to keep itself from being too cold. If you are working in minus 40-degree weather, and you're worried about frostbite in 5 minutes on a flight, you probably have to worry about your batteries as well. It's hard, really, really hard to keep your gear warm enough. So first thing is flight batteries, right? One of the things I need to stomp on here is that if you get a cold battery warning in flight, you need to respect the threat. You need to land instantly. Just get on the ground. You can always warm a battery up on the ground, but a battery in flight will not be making enough heat to warm itself up to flight temperature. If you get a low battery warning when you didn't expect one, like you've been flying for 6 minutes and suddenly you get a low battery warning, you need to be on the ground now. You need to just assume that your battery does not have the capacity that it did, that something's going wrong, and a cold battery is not going to get you home safely. Just land. Point down, find a safe landing spot, get your drone on the ground, safe it, and then approach it. Do not try and drag it back to you. When a battery is cratering, like actively cratering, and it's trying to pull power from a battery that is suddenly not able to provide it, you're going to get a warning, and then suddenly that battery is just going to stop providing power. So that drone is not going to just slowly calm down and come to a nice gentle arc. It's just going to go and you're going to watch it spiral all the way to the crater, and it's a bad feeling. What we use on our batteries for external batteries like the Inspire 2 is we use these insulation pads that are actually provided with the batteries by DJI. You have to do a little bit of modification, but they sell a triangular shaped pad that fills these blocks. It adds a couple degrees, but what it does is it keeps the heat that the battery is producing inside the battery a little bit more. I wouldn't use them in the summer because the batteries could cook, but in the winter they do seem to help a good amount. So the biggest problem that I have found, in addition to my fingers, is my phone. Is this thing, my iPhone, will get cold and completely just shut itself off. It'll go from 40% to 0. And like, oh crap, now you're blind. Which is why we never fly beyond line of sight. So I prefer, when I'm flying on a drone that has the ability to charge its transmitter like the Inspire 2, Matrice 200, not every transmitter does this. I know the Inspire 1 and Phantom and Mavic and Mavic Air, Spark, those drones tend to really sap the phone in a hurry. They don't charge anything back. The batteries aren't big enough. The Inspire 2 and the Matrice 200 are large enough to do a little bit of recharging. So I like to set it to continuous when it's cold so that there's always some juice going into the iPad or iPhone. It just keeps it from getting so cold that it shuts itself off. When I was in the Arctic, I had 0 issues with my iPad shutting down because I was constantly charging as I was flying. Your mileage may vary. What some people do is they actually wrap foam around their iPads around the back and they keep them insulated a little better. Because that is really literally your eyesight to the world, your window to the world. One other thing that you have to consider is if you have a support equipment like a laptop. One of the funny things that happened to us is our cinematographer that we were working with came in and goes, our laptop is, we have something, I thought we had something wrong with our footage. I loaded the footage in and everything was all slow-mo and blurry. Oh, that's not good. So I ran another piece of footage and it was slow-mo and blurry. And I ran another piece of footage and something I had already seen before and it was slow-mo and blurry. And then he realized that his LCD screen was sluggish because it was so cold that everything was just refreshing so slowly. So you want to know the working range of your equipment. As a rule, the smaller the handheld battery you have, like the stuff that goes on your monitors, stuff that runs your Osmo, stuff that runs your camera batteries, the smaller a battery, the quicker the hold is going to suck the heat out of that thing and it's going to die faster. So as a rule, you want to make sure that you've got all of the stuff that'll fit inside your coat pockets, which is why I'm wearing my filthy long coat of many colors, because it's my work jacket. It's covered in pockets. I use it for batteries. I use it to keep myself warm. It's not a beauty contest. It's actually a work environment. So what are some of the other things that you guys can do to keep your gear warm if you don't have water bottles or you don't have access to a microwave? I used to go into gas stations and get the hot water out of the dispensers for the coffee maker and put those in a Coke bottle, throw those in there. That's a good in a pinch. However, what a lot of people do, a lot of production crews use, is they use hand warmers. Now, there are two different styles. There's toe warmers, which actually get a lot hotter because they're made to be in a low oxygen environment of your foot. So these actually kick a lot more heat a lot faster, but they burn out a little quicker. So if you've got a 3-hour job, chuck in some toe warmers instead. The problem is that these get expensive when you buy a case of them. You can go through, 4 or 5 of them a morning for a week, 2-week shoot. You end up going through a case of them. If someone else is paying for them, no big deal. But I'm crinkling that. So, but if you got them, use them. I personally don't prefer these, is because they're too localized. I want to heat up an entire environment and use water bottles for that. I can control the temperature a little bit better than this. However, they are an option. You can also throw these in addition to water bottles or the clay style heating packs, which work really well to hold heat. I found though over time, the temperature range I need is about 75-80 degrees. You can get a water bottle up to 200 easy, 150 easy, and keep it at a nice 70-degree temperature all day long. I've worked out of a cooler with my Matrice batteries, and I'm in and out of the box all day. At the end of the day, I've still got a 70-degree battery, in a warm box. It works pretty well. One of the other things that you can use if you're a non-DJI flyer, and that's quite a few of us, is you can use battery warming power sacks that use lipos. This is a lipo bag that I cannot get into. You're going to edit this out, right, Sam?
Sure.
We'll be watching this later. Okay, so what this has is it's basically a aluminized fire sack that has an element inside it. And this allows you to raise the bag up to a set temperature. And we've used these in extreme cold weather on hand-built drones, and they've worked really, really well. Another option, this was about 15 bucks. This is absolutely worth not losing a drone. In my opinion, safety equipment is worth whatever it costs. Full stop. If you find a solution that works for you and it's a little pricey and you get your drone back at the end of the day, go to town. Here's another option. This is a little kludgier. Excuse me, I'm getting over a bad cold, so I'm going to turn every now and then and hack up a lung. So this is essentially like the sack, only it is an individual wrap. These were designed to wrap around big cells. However, you end up with a little hot band around a big battery, and it just is the most inefficient thing in the world. What I found was best is to stick these in the cooler and then make an adapter off of the 12-volt pins that come with them. Pig. Making an adapter for the 12-volt power that comes off of them to you just get a little bit of you get the power cigarette lighter to power block adapter, and then you just clip these onto it, and then you can run these inside your car, and you can basically make as much heat as you want. I have found that sticking batteries next to your seat warmers and putting a blanket or something over the top of them just doesn't work very well. You don't transfer enough heat over to them. It just doesn't work. Even after a 2-hour drive to a job location, you get out and the batteries are they're not warm enough. So that tends to be a very inefficient solution. If you get to the job site and you have a battery that's giving you a warning, low temperature warning, we're going to show you how to check that on your DJI stuff, and that's a very valuable screen to know. In the winter, I'm in that battery screen a lot. What you're going to do is you're going to bring up the battery screen, and you're going to actually check the temperature of the battery up in the corner, and it is going to tell you if you've got a healthy battery or not. If it isn't above, I would say 15C to be safe, I wouldn't fly it. I would throw it on your defroster vent in your car on high for just about 5 minutes, and it will warm up enough to use quite well. I would flip it, you know, I'd give it the baked potato spin every now and then to make sure it doesn't cook one side of it. But you're trying to get heat through a real dense block of lipo, and it's going to feel warm on the outside, but if you give it 2 minutes off the heat, it's going to soak in and it's not going to be as warm. So start with warm batteries, keep your body warm, use lots of layers, make sure you have finger gloves that actually work for touch screens. I would only trust a warm battery, but warm batteries will generate enough heat to stay warm in flight. If it's so cold that you're worried about losing digits to frostbite, you know, maybe the drone's not the solution for you, but it works. Another option that sounds controversial, but it's not. We have to maintain visual line of sight on our aircraft at all times. So what we do if it's really cold is we sit in the car. We take off next to the car so we can see the drone take off, and we watch it depart, and we watch it through the windshield. It's just a piece of glass. It's not obstructing our view at all. And we're nice and toasty warm, and we're keeping our iPad warm, and we're getting warm air blown on our faces, and we're living like kings, just like a pilot in a cockpit would. Problem comes is when you return, if you go on goggles and you go on camera and you think you're going to land it on camera, pig. If you're going on camera and you think that you're going to be able to land it on video, you're not. The best bet is when you land, when you're on final, you just get out of the car and you just land it on the pad, so you just don't have to eyeball it, because you're going to be all transverse, you're going to be crooked sideways, and you're going to be trying to show off, and you're going to be nice and cozy, and you're going to have a bad time. If it doesn't feel right, stop, get out the car, fix it that way. You're only going to be out of the car for a minute as opposed to standing out there for 15 minutes cold soaking. Now, in regards to where you're going to take off and land, if it's nasty outside, wet, mucky, cold, we have this powdered water on the ground everywhere. So this powdered water will literally get sucked up into your drone, and it will stick to things. It'll stick to your camera because you're bringing it out of a warmer car. So anything that snow touches is going to freeze to it. You are going to need to worry about how you're going to land on the ground. So what we use is a mobile landing pad. Now, they make them from a bunch of different companies, but what I've found over time using them is it is very important that they have an integral weighted ring around them. We use Hoodman because it has a weighted ring in it, and all I got to do is just do that, and it's out, and I'm ready to use it. So, and then you just pick it up and you roll it up and you put it back in the bag. That is so much easier. We use it on dust, we use it on snow, we use it in mud, anything that's going to protect the air coming off the drone from picking up stuff and just putting it on top of my camera. Because what you're doing is you're actually flying a lens, and you don't want to get stuff on your lens. So powdered water, bad. So one of the things to keep in mind when you're using a landing pad is you want to make sure that you don't pick stuff up on the ground around it when you're landing. So you can take off, just come vertically out and push it away. But on return, the way we normally come in is we come in on a shallow, on a slope approach, and we come in and we land on a pad just like a pilot would. We spot his landing area, comes in on slope, and he touches down. That doesn't work in dusty, snowy, nasty environments where you're going to be pushing your air in front of you and curling it down once you get into ground effect. So what you want to do is come 15, 20 feet over the pad, look your camera down, center yourself on it, and just come down straight down. One of the ways we practice that is we throw a wiffle ball out into the field, and we come down on it, and we have to land on the wiffle ball without the wiffle ball being blown away. You'll know you've got it right when the wind that's coming down captures it and lets the ball stay. If you come down crooked, it's going to blow away, and you've got to start all over again. So it's a really good practice for landing precision. We do that quite a bit when I teach people. So protect your gear, protect your meat, protect your batteries, keep them warm, and don't be afraid to chicken out and be inside a vehicle. Now, you don't want to be inside a house because you can't get out of the house in a hurry if you need to, but a car is fine because you can always just open the door and get out of the car. You're not going to do anything by standing up outside the car as opposed to being sitting down inside the car, and you'll be warm. And if you're warm, you're not concentrating on, I'm so effing cold right now, I can't concentrate on what I'm supposed to be doing, which is flying safely. If you're fighting with your gear, or you're fighting with yourself, or fighting with the environment while you're trying to fly safely, you're going to have a bad time. So it's just not going to work. Also, once your fingers get frozen, they stop working. You can't, everyone's like, "Durr, no shit." But when you're trying to touch a screen and actually make sure that you touch the screen properly, and you can't feel your finger, and you're like, I've got this stick of meat here that just isn't working, you're going to end up concentrating on getting that damn button pushed right, and you're not going to be paying attention to your drone, and you're going to end up in a world of hurt. So if you're cold, you're miserable. If you're miserable, you're not concentrating. If you're not concentrating, you're going to have a bad time. You're not flying safe. it gets to the point where your hands get so cold, because something about gripping a controller without any blood flow is you sit here and your hands just start to ache because you're not pumping the blood through them, right? You're just sitting here and you can't take your hands off the sticks to do this with both your hands. And so you end up going, either I'm going to be flying or I'm not. And so you just gut it out. And by the time you're done, you've got these knurled frozen claws that you can't really move your thumbs with the dexterity required. This is a fine muscle movement. So you're gonna end up flying like Bobo the Wonder Chimp, and it just doesn't work. So keep your hands warm. If at any time that you find that you're getting a low battery warning on your drone, or your hands are painful to the point where you can't concentrate, or you're having trouble discerning fine motor movements, just land. Just land. Blow the take. It's cheaper than buying another drone. It's just not worth it. So fly safe. Have fun, get out, don't let winter keep you indoors. Just bundle up, protect your batteries, protect your meat, and go out and have fun, guys. So I'll see you guys soon. We're gonna be doing a little bit of moving. We're closing on a house. We're doing a bunch of stuff. We're gonna try and go to a 2-week schedule on these videos so that we can put a little more post-processing work into each one of them, because I stand up here for 30 minutes and I talk, and then I give Sam 3 days worth of work to do. So Sam doesn't mind that at all, does he? Sam minds that a great deal, I think. So, see you in 3 days, guys. No, just kidding. Yeah, I'm getting the look right now. The look. You know the look. You've been married, right? The look, yeah. So, I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. And if you have any comments or questions, please let me know. If there's anything you guys want us to cover in future videos, or anything you guys want us to teach or explain, please let me know. We're still trying to figure out if we want to gear this towards, you know, 8 and below, or professional adults, or the middle ground, because everyone starts somewhere, and I want to be able to bring people along in the journey that I'm on as well. So thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you soon. Loading Meatbot smartass protocols. Loading. Loaded. We ready?
We're ready.
Noted. All right. I'm back. Okay, so ignore the continuity error.
Blooper number 1.
Yeah. I don't know what to do with my hands here. So if I put them in my pocket, I look fat and booby. If I don't, then we're gonna go over this. So anyway, didn't give you a cold weather. Bleh, not weather. Pig. If you start with a battery, I think that's a turkey actually. They have turkeys over there too. We're going to be counting the livestock interrupting our videos from now on. So, guys, hi. The light's on. I immediately become a blithering moron. More. Thank you. Don't smile. I see you. Whatever had in my hands, I don't have in my hands anymore. Welcome to the world of YouTube continuity errors. Population me. So, excuse me. Itchy head. New toque. One of the ways we practice this is we throw a wiffle ball. Backing up. One of the ways we practice this is we throw a wiffle ball. Damn it! Wiffle ball. Wiffle ball. One of the ways we practice this is we throw a wiffle ball. Now I've said it and I've screwed it up with that. I'm a grown-ass man getting his ass kicked by a wiffle ball. Let me know if anything you want us to cover, backing up, son of a bitch. Now, 5 minutes of talking, 10 minutes of cleanup, 3 days of editing. Back to you, Sam.